Good morning. So here we go, day 22, which is really more like day 26 or so. Couldn't do it yesterday, and I've been working up the nerve to press record on the phone and do day 22. I'm not going to do push-ups, and that's not really what the 22 a day push-up challenge is about anyway. Push-ups is just a shtick to get people to watch, right? And to get people talking. So here I am talking. So my last video, I talked about a couple things in my life and people that we've lost in survivor's guilt. And today is going to be a lot more raw, and it's going to be a little bit longer. So if you stick around, I appreciate it. If not, then, just remember that it's more important to just be there for people. So it's really what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about being overwhelmed, and then just when the opportunity arises, recognizing it and being there for people. Because although I know people love me and they care about me, when the time has come and I had the guts to reach out, that opportunity slipped by. So I talked about Cupcake yesterday, or in the last video, and how I lost a brother who we rode with, and how that kind of impacted me. I think more so than I realized, at least until Heather brought it up and mentioned it to me. And it might have been timing. So at the time I was stationed at Recruit Training Command as the Command Master Chief there. And RTC was going through a lot of changes, and I had a lot of stress at the time. And it wasn't about the changes really. It's always about the people, always. And so when you get on a motorcycle and you're able to get in your head and start to think about things, that long ride provided me a lot of time to think. And being my own worst critic, you wonder where you're failing, you really start to get in your head and worry. So, after that trip, and realizing that we had lost such a good guy, and just somebody that people looked up to and admired, and I just wondered what I was doing right and what I was doing wrong in the world. And to be honest with you, at the time, I just couldn't find what I was doing right. I just couldn't get to that. And when you get to a dark place, and this isn't just about veterans, right? But when you get to a dark place, you wake up and say, no, this isn't right. I'll be fine today. And then the next day it's like a step lower. And then the next day it's a step lower. And you still fight through that. You continue to fight. You self-medicate. And you shut down. And I withdrew from my wife, and that was about 2017, where it was a lot. And I finally just had kind of gotten to a point where I knew this was starting to be an issue, right? It never turned into suicide for me. It was just always this dark life would be better if I, wasn't around. People would be better off if I wasn't around, and then I'd snap out of that. And I saw that I was headed in that direction, right? So I reached out, and this is the part that probably hurts more than it angers me, I think, more than anything else. We speak of mentors all the time, and I had the opportunity. I've had some amazing leaders in my life, some people I've looked up to, and I hear leaders say it's okay to not be okay. I'm not sure if we actually live up to that, though, right? I mean, if it's okay to not be okay, the next step is that we have to care when someone reaches out. So when you look at somebody and say, hey, I'm not doing so well, and they look back at you and say, well, that sucks. And that's all you get. That creates a cynic. Which is why when I talk about leaders, you need to follow not only the good examples, but remember the bad examples and fight not to be that leader. I had a conversation with a brother just the other day. I'm going to just caveat this in, is that, he said WISH. It was an interesting acronym that I'd never heard before. What if someone helped? WISH. I wish I would have. What if someone helped? So for me, two things happened. I tried to get help, and it didn't pan out. Professional help for me, I don't click with that. And I care more about personal connections, and I personally just can't connect. And getting help is not as easy as just picking up the phone sometimes, or, you call and you try to make an appointment and it's 3 months out. And, those things do happen, which is why it's so important that we are there when people ask for help, when they reach out. In the middle of that, one more story, and then I'll just get to the positive stuff. In the middle of that, I get an email from a brother, not in the Navy, who tells me that I need, that there's something wrong with me, and that I need to get help. Okay, well, great, thanks, appreciate you. Just saying it to somebody isn't necessarily what they need. I mean, literally picking up the phone sometimes isn't even enough. I will tell you that. I would drive across this country to help somebody, especially since I got to that place. For me, what pulled me out was turning to Heather. And, doing a lot of stuff like this, where now I just dive into, hey, if you need me, I'm here. Self-medication, I guess, walking away from drinking and too much, and facing my own demons, one at a time, eating that elephant, if you will, one bite at a time, and just trying to get better. The fact is it's been 2 years. Oh, and then one more thing. I gave a speech at RTC. The people in the room at the time didn't know it, but I was at my darkest moment, And I talked about when you reach into, if you're on the beach and you reach into the sand and you pick up the sand, and each piece of sand is an issue in your life. You can't hold on to all that sand, it slips. You've got to reach out for help. The next day, fellow chief petty officer walked into my office and gave me this. You know who you are. Thank you. So in closing, Continue to talk. I think it's the best therapy. Continue to reach out. This has been tough, this 22 days, because I knew I was going to kind of rip my chest open and show my heart. This is my therapy. You're my therapy. I'm going to keep doing the page and trying to connect with people, because that's what we need, especially in today's day and age. We need to connect and get past the BS and just love each other and be there for each other. I love you. Mean it.